Lavanga joins us now. Good morning, Claudio.
Good morning, Francis. Well, as you heard, President Trump during that address there, he warned Iran that if he doesn't negotiate a peace deal, then the U.S. is ready to strike more targets inside Iran. But despite that warning, there are already signs from Iran that it is ready for retaliation, at least according to Iranian state media. Quoted a spokesperson for the Iranian Foreign Ministry who said, and I'll just read you an extract, America must take responsibility for the consequences of war. No one knows what will happen next, but clearly, America and Israel will be held accountable. Iran has the right to self-defense, and we will use it. Now, this is a threat that could transform into a real threat to, a potential threat to terrorism, for instance, in the U.S., as you mentioned, or the attack against targets near Iran, so against U.S. And allied troops that are stationed in the Gulf, or perhaps they could target the commercial ships that navigate through the Strait of Hormuz. That is where at least 1/5 of the total oil supply for the world actually navigates. And that, of course, that scenario, even the potential scenario, has already affecting markets worldwide, with oil prices rising. In the meantime, the exchange of fire between Iran and Israel continue. Right after the attack, Iran has fired a barrage of missiles at Israel. Some of them fell into Tel Aviv, causing destruction there, damage and injuries, while Israel has early this morning, said that he's attacking now military sites on the west of Iran, close to the border with Iraq, in the region of Kermanshah. Francis.
Okay, Claudia, thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember.
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor as due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Those in the gospel abroad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever they may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. We're trying to find a video I actually saved yesterday, but I know YouTube, the algorithms, and sometimes these different social media platform sites, they will take down the videos, or sometimes people's channels will get taken down. As we're in a time now of all things being revealed. But it says oil prices rise after U.S. strikes on Iran nuclear facilities, which gas will start to go up here in a little bit if it haven't already risen. Last time I checked, I think gas was maybe like $2.98, if I'm not mistaken, damn near $3. And we know in the time of the summertime, energy costs increase. Henceforth, the gas goes up, but that of a war, they was talking about we can see $8 to $10 gas prices, man. And that was a video I was looking for, but I can't recall. I think I saved it on IG or on here, but it's not on here no more. You know, sometimes these things tend to falter. But regardless of it, it says, yep, almost up 40 cents since Friday. So there you go, 40 cents. Oil prices increase and tariffs. It says, so the price of eggs will rise again. Gas prices going up again, but Donnie said gas price will be lower. Just another lie. So yeah, people are pretty much they're stifling at this point. It says rising oil prices always bring increased inflation and slow down economy. And we've been saying it, man, that this place is getting ready to implode out of oblivion, because things are getting ready to go up all across the board. Okay, let alone oil prices, and then, you know, energy prices, which we just received an email maybe 2 weeks ago of one of our energy providers called Spire. They want to go up 15% on our bill, as if the bills ain't high enough already. But this is what you call a Hegelian dialectus, which means pressure from above, pressure from beneath. So the more they put the squeeze on people, people will be more subjected to comply. But this can be a step in the direction of an economic collapse, on top of all the other shit going on in the country due to the tariffs and inflation and outsourcing and so forth. This just adds insult to injury. All right. So this article here says Iran reportedly moves to close Strait of Hormuz after U.S. attacks, which I believe they was talking about blocking it off, because that's 20 to 25% of the oil supply, the world's oil supply, Strait of Hormuz. Okay. Now, where there are other options on the table, you know, America has oil reserves up to 600 years. And then you have Venezuela, which is actually more richer in oil and resources than that of Iran in some cases. but instead they're gonna put that on the consumer. All right, but it says closing the Strait of Hormuz, located between Iran and Oman, could have serious implications for both the global and U.S. economy. It says Secretary of State Mark Rubio told Fox News on Sunday morning that China should ask Iran to keep the shipping lane open because of Asia's need for oil delivered through the strait, and he warned Iran against the action. It says if they do that, it would be another terrible mistake. It says it's economic suicide for them if they do it, and we retain the options to deal with that, but the other countries should be looking at that as well. It says it will hurt other countries' economies a lot worse than ours, which is bullshit. But it says it will be, I think, a massive escalation that will merit a response, not just by U.S., but from others, he said on Fox News. It says President Trump said on Sunday or on Saturday night, announced that the U.S. have bombed 3 nuclear sites, and that wasn't all it was caked up to be. We found out that they didn't even destroy everything. But it says U.S. has bombed 3 nuclear sites in Iran, engaging U.S. forces in a war that Israel launched 2 weeks ago. But it says in a brief address, hours later, the president warned of continued U.S. attacks on Iran if peace does not come quickly. It says the U.S. bombs targets 3 nuclear sites in Natanz, Ifshan, and Fordo, which is located inside a mountain. But 6 bunker buster bombs were reportedly dropped on Fordo, while more than 24 Tomahawk missiles were launched at other 2 sites. And apparently they missed, right? But it says the administration has argued that the strikes were a monumental success, but it is currently unclear how much the sites were damaged or how long the attack has set back Iran's nuclear program. It reads, it says, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said the U.S. decided to blow up diplomacy to end fighting with Israel by joining strikes against the country late Saturday night, which further warned of everlasting consequences. So, all right, you keep talking about consequences and this and this and that, but they've assassinated top generals, scientists, all types of shit, and yet you Iranians still continue to take a soft boat to America, man, which is all through the spirit, because we understand Yahweh Shai is mustering up the battle. But nonetheless, this could spell disaster for the U.S. economy. So I did some research on ChatGPT, and I says, what is the land of the spoken of in second address 15? Now, I didn't word it exactly like that, but it says in second address 15, the land of the Assyrians, which sometimes could be America, right? But it says the land of the Assyrians appears in a prophetic and symbolic text. It says, here's the relevant passage. It says, behold, says Yahweh, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me. And we're seeing that, all right? World War III, which are from the rising of the sun, which is the east, and from the south and from the east, and Libanus, to turn themselves one against another and repay the things that they have done to them, like as they yet do this day unto my chosen, so I will also do and recompense their bosom. Thus says the Lord Yahweh, my right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood upon the earth. And that's starting with you devils first. So this is a war that's going to be continual until Yahweh Shai returns, no matter how much peace talks you engage in. But it says, and the sinners like the straw that is kindled, but woe unto them that sin and keep not my commandments, says Yahweh. All right, and you go down to verses 22 to 27. It says, my right hand shall not spare the sinners, but woe to them that sin. It says, a powerful and terrible king, or terrible and powerful king, should arise and shall destroy them, and the glory of his power should be dried up, and they should be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. That's 2nd Ezra 16. It says, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. That's 2nd Ezra 16th chapter. But anyway, going down, it says, behold, a horrible vision, and the appearance there from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia, because now the Arab world is the Muslim world is uniting against the West. Okay, it's the first time that the Sunnis and the Shiites are putting their difference together, and they're having merging prayers of Allah. All right, because they understand that this is the time of war. But it says the multitude of them should be carried out as the wind upon the earth, that all that which hear them may fear and tremble. This is talking about war, military equipment, choosing sides, right? It says, and also the Carmanians, which is the Iranians, raging in wrath, should go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power should they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. Right. So it says, what is the land of the Assyrians, which sometimes the scriptures refer to Esau as the Assyrian. But it says in the apocalyptic and prophetic literature, such as second address, names of ancient kingdoms are often used symbolically, not just geographically. Right. Because, you know, like we said, America goes by spiritual names as well. Egypt, Sodom and Gomorrah, Babylon the Great, Mystery Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, Nineveh. But based on historical and literary context, historically / geographically, the land of the Assyrians referred to the former territory of the Assyrian Empire, okay, which at the height included part of modern-day Iraq, okay, or Syria or southwestern Turkey and northwestern Iran. Okay, this is why they said a portion of the land of the Assyrians, because there's going to be war in that area, but there will also be war on American soil because sleeper cells, right? It says its capital cities including Nineveh, Assur, and Nimrod. But the land of the Assyrians may represent a region of wickedness or judgment, echoing how Assyria was seen as a past enemy of Israel. But this passage, it describes as under attack by various chaotic forces, dragons of Arabia and Carmenians, likely representing an upheaval or divine punishment. It says these invaders waste the land, so it's portrayed as the target of the Most High's wrath, and we understand that America will be part of the Lord's wrath because he's going to destroy it, okay, not just physically but economically. But it says the land of the Assyrians most likely referred to a region in or near Mesopotamia, the historical heartland of Assyria, but it's also carried a symbolic weight as a place marked for judgment in the prophetic vision. It says it may stand for enemies of the Most High's people, or a symbol of worldly power destined to fall in an apocalyptic upheaval, and it goes into it. All right, so here, going down to verses 33, and it says, and from the land of the Assyrians, which we just went over the lands, shall the enemy besiege them and consume some of them, and their host should be fear and dread and strife and among their kings. All right, but going up, it says, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, man. So there's going to be destruction, okay, as we're seeing that this economy is collapsing at record pace. Eventually, man, this shit is going to hit home. That's why gas prices are up 40%. I haven't been out yet, but, you know, when I go out, I'm sure I will see that. But it says here, Proverbs 29, and I'm going to start at verses 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Right, the wicked is in power. So Esau's his indiscretion is causing the whole world to become chaotic, man, to the fact that people will starve to death because they're not going to have the necessary means in order to pay their bills, man. Because if gas continue to goes up $8-9 a barrel, shit, hey, it ain't looking good for the consumer, you know. Gas prices going up. Let's look up here. Oil prices jumped more than 2% after U.S. strikes on Iran. Fear raise of supply. I don't know what that says, but we ain't got to read it all. 441 views. Could gas prices rise due to the Israel-Iran conflict? Yep, of course. Definitely. Energy expert weighs on potential gas prices as U.S.-Iran join what it says, joins Iran coalition. I assume that's what that says. Let's do this. Fuck.
State your name.
Gas prices. $8. Let's see what he says here.
Well, then I don't think people realize how serious this is. Iran produces about 20 to 30% of the oil for the world, meaning gas prices are going to go way up. Not just gas prices, but the prices of everything that needs gas to get it to where it needs to be. And this could be happening by the end of this week or by early of next week. So if you're like me and live in California, you're already expecting $6 gas this summer, and you might as well expect $8 gas. Or if you live in more affordable places like Florida or Tennessee,